Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about simplifying radicals with variables. Specifically, we are focusing on square roots. One thing that you have to keep in mind before you can get down to simplifying radicals with variables is that you have to pay close attention to the exponents for the variables. If you're taking the square root, the exponents need to be multiples of 2. If you're taking the cube root, the exponents must be multiples of 3. And then if you're taking the fourth root, the exponents must be multiples of 4. So let's take a look at some examples. Number 1, the square root of 16x squared y to the 8th. So here, before I can even try to simplify or work with the variables, I'm going to simplify the numbers. So the square root of 16 is 4. This one is a perfect square, so thankfully we don't have to do as much work. So I know the square root of 16 is 4. Now, whenever I come down to the variables, I am looking at the exponents. And because this is a square root, that means my index is a 2. And I want my exponents to be multiples of 2 because I can divide those evenly and it'll help me break down the radicals. So in this case, they both are exponents that are multiples of 2. So I can just go ahead and divide. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that just becomes x. And then y to the 8th, if I divide 8 divided by 2, that's 4, so this is y to the 4th power. And the reason this works is because I can multiply these out. So because my index is a 2, I'm looking for what can I multiply by itself to get x squared. Well, same thing with the numbers. 4 times 4 is 16. And then x times x, we know, is x squared. And y to the 4th times y to the 4th is y to the 8th because we use our rule of exponents, which says that we need to add these, the product rule. So it becomes y to the 8th. And so that's the reason why we're dividing by the index. That helps us break down the radical. So that is my answer for x, y to the 4th. Let's look at number 2. So on number 2, I have the square root of x to the 4th, y to the 6th. Again, my index is a 2 because this is a square root. And this one works out great because both of these exponents are multiples of 2. So I can just go ahead and divide. 4 divided by 2 gives me 2, so that's x squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so y to the 3rd. And that is my answer. Number 3. This one is going to have exponents that are not multiples of 2, so I'm going to show you what to do when you have this situation. Again, we want to break down the square root of 32 first. So I can rewrite the square root of 32 as the square root of 16 times the square root of 2. Again, remember you're looking for the largest perfect square. And now I can look at the variables. X to the 4th, this one is an even number. It is a multiple of 2. So I'm going to bring that down and I'm going to write it next to this 16 because this represents all the radicals that I can divide out or I can simplify perfectly. And then this other radical is going to represent all the ones that can't. So I'm going to look at y to the 9th, and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, how many y's can I take out so that it becomes a multiple of 2? Well, that'll be 8 because 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to take out 8 y's and I'm going to write that next to x to the 4th. So y to the 8th. Now whenever I do that, I'm going to have 1 left over and I'm going to put it in this radical that can't be simplified further. So now I can just go ahead and simplify this. Square root of 16 is 4. Again, I'm dividing my exponents by the index. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, so that becomes x squared. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so y to the 4th. And then the square root of 2y. That can't be simplified any further, so I'm just going to bring that down. Square root of 2y. And that is my answer. Number 4, the square root of 60, x to the 6th, y. Again, I want to simplify the square root of 60. I can rewrite that as the square root of 4 times the square root of 15, because 4 times 15 is 60. And then I'm looking at my variables, x to the 6th, that's a multiple of 2. 6 is a multiple of 2, so I'm going to put all of the x's in here. Y to the 1st, that is not a multiple of 2, and I can't take out any y's because I only have one of them, so that goes in the radical that can't be simplified. And then I'm going to simplify this first radical. The square root of 4 is 2. I can divide the index. I can divide the exponent by index 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this becomes x to the 3rd. And then I'm going to bring down this radical because I can't simplify it. The square root of 15y is just the square root of 15y. So this becomes the square root of 15y right next to the 2x cubed. And that is my answer. We're going to take a look at one more. This one, last one, is a little bit longer. It's a little bit longer problem. Has a lot going on. So if you notice on this problem, we have a coefficient out in front. This is 2 times the square root of 63x to the 15th y to the 19th. So if you have a coefficient, that just means you're going to multiply everything by it. So I'm just going to bring that one down. Then I need to break down the square root of 63. I can rewrite the square root of 63 as the square root of 9 times the square root of 7. And I'm leaving a little bit of room on the inside for my variables. So now I look at x to the 15th. Again, our index is a 2. So that means I need to have a multiple of 2. So how many x's can I take out so that it can be a multiple of 2? Well, the largest amount would be 14. So I'm going to write x to the 14th here. And whenever I do that, I have one x left over, so I'm going to put it in my radical that can't be simplified. Then I look at the y's. I need to take out an even number of y's, so that would be y to the 18th. So I'm going to write y to the 18th in here with 1 left over, so that goes in that radical. And then now I can just go ahead and simplify this radical. So this becomes 2 times, oops, gotta get the right pen here, 2 times the square root of 9 is 3. I gotta divide my exponents by my index of 2, so 14 divided by 2 is 7, so this is x to the 7th. And then 18 divided by 2 is 9, so this is y to the 9th. And I can't simplify the second radical, so I'm just gonna bring that down. The square root, oops, gotta get the right pen, the square root of 7xy. And I'm not quite done because I need to multiply out front. 2 times 3 is 6, so my final answer becomes 6x to the 7th, y to the 9th, square root of 7xy. And that is it.